Hello and welcome to another update. In this one we'll be covering the Bakhmut front and then we'll be looking over some other news. So starting out in the Bakhmut front, there's been no new captures since yesterday. However, as I mentioned in my previous video, the next targets would be Klishchivka as well as Bakhmut itself from the south and Pithorodne. So far we're seeing that the Russians are advancing from Kordiomivka towards Klishchivka and from the Opitne as well as from the east towards Bakhmut. This is to clear the way for the Russians to advance towards Pithorodne as well as Bakhmutske to capture these villages and open up for another front here in the north. And that's it for the updates. Moving on to some other news, there's a Russian echelon with BTR-82AM, which is modernized BTR-82s. Moving towards Ukraine, and this is most likely on the southern front, as that is where most of the equipment is going. However, there's also the possibility that it is going either to Belgorod or to Belarus. Moving on to the next news, there is this group of Ukrainian troops who were allegedly surrounded around Kordiomivka, and then there's been an update where they have managed to avoid the encirclement and break through towards nearest Ukrainian positions, which would be to Klishchivka or Dulivka and Bilahura from the west, where the Ukrainians are sending reinforcements to start a new front line here, defensive position by Bilahura, Dulivka, Klishchivka, and towards the main road here to the north. Next news is that the Polish Ministry of Defense announced an extremely high probability of the country's participation in the war in Ukraine. The probability of a war in which we will take part is extremely high, too high for us to consider this scenario only hypothetically. So this means that Poland is preparing for war with Russia over Ukraine. In other news, the EU Ursula von der Leyen has said in a speech that was later taken down that more than 100,000 Ukrainian military officers have been killed so far. And if you don't believe me, here's the video.
More than 100,000 Ukrainian military officers have been killed so far.
She mentions military officers, but I don't believe this. I highly doubt this. Most likely it's just military personnel, because military officers are the ones who are in charge of 5 to 6 people. If 100,000 Ukrainian military officers who are in charge of 5 to 6 people each have been killed, then most likely the Ukrainian deaths in the military would be multiple hundreds of thousands, most likely in the 200 or 300 or even 400,000 people dead. And with the NATO standard of 3 to 4 times as many would be wounded or missing or POWs and so on, that would leave Ukraine with about 2 million casualties. So this is highly unlikely. Most likely she misspoke and it's military personnel. Ukraine of course denied this and said only 10,000 have been killed of Ukrainian military personnel, but that is also very likely to be false and a lie and a severe underestimate of the casualties. There's no clear indication of how many casualties there are. I have made some calculations, but I don't think I can use them as they are mostly just an educated guess and not based on facts. And finally, in the economic stage, Europe's imports of Russian seaborne gas transported on big tankers jumped to a record high of more than 40% between January and October compared to 2021. So while Europe is making their changes to walk away from Russian gas, they're just buying more seaborne gas. This means that despite the Nord Stream pipeline being sabotaged, they are still just buying more Russian gas. Let me know what you think of this new format for videos and if you prefer this or just the normal frontline updates. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.